Tonight, there is a development out of Tehran that marks a significant moment in the current tensions unfolding across the Middle East. Iran has announced the deployment of what it describes as its advanced Fattah-2 hypersonic missile. The declaration comes amid its escalating conflict involving the United States and Israel. Before we move forward, if thoughtful, fact-driven analysis matters to you, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can stay fully informed. According to Iranian officials, the Fattah-2 is an upgraded successor to the country's earlier Fattah ballistic missile. This is the first time Iran has claimed that the Fattah-2 has been deployed operationally. If that claim is verified, it would represent the first known operational use of this upgraded system. The announcement places the Fattah-2 at the center of an already volatile regional landscape. And it signals clearly and directly Tehran's continued emphasis on advancing its missile capabilities. The Fattah-2 is described by Iran as a hypersonic missile. That designation carries weight. Hypersonic missiles are characterized by extremely high speeds, speeds that, by their nature, present challenges to conventional missile defense systems. Iran has framed the Fattah-2 as possessing enhanced capabilities beyond those of the original Fattah ballistic missile. Enhanced capabilities, high speed, and upgraded design, these are the elements highlighted in Tehran's announcement. The original Fattah missile was introduced earlier as part of Iran's broader missile development program. Now, the Fattah-2 is presented as its successor, a next step, a refinement, an advancement. The timing of this announcement is not incidental. It comes during a period of intensified hostilities involving Iran, the United States, and Israel. The region is already tense, already layered with military positioning and strategic calculation. And into that atmosphere, Iran has introduced this declaration, a claim of deployment, a claim of operational readiness. If verified, the deployment of the Fattah-2 would mark a new phase in Iran's missile capabilities. The emphasis on speed is central. Hypersonic speed is often cited as a factor that complicates interception. Traditional missile defense systems are designed around certain assumptions about trajectory and timing. A system described as hypersonic suggests those assumptions may be tested. Iran's announcement does not stand in isolation. It is framed within the context of ongoing regional hostilities. The language used underscores Tehran's strategic focus on missile technology. Advancement, improvement, deployment, these are not abstract concepts in this moment. They are tied directly to an active and escalating conflict environment. There is, in announcements like this, a layered message. On the surface, it is about a weapons system, but beneath that, it is about signaling capability, signaling progress, signaling resolve. Iran has described the Fattah-2 as an upgraded successor. That word, upgraded, suggests evolution rather than replacement. A system built upon prior development, a system intended to exceed what came before. The original Fattah ballistic missile laid the groundwork. Now the Fattah-2 is positioned as its advancement, and the phrase operational deployment carries specific weight. It suggests not just testing, not just development, but readiness, active placement within a military framework. If confirmed, this would be the first operational deployment of the Fattah-2. That fact alone gives this announcement its gravity, because development is one stage. Deployment is another. And in the midst of escalating conflict, deployment carries strategic meaning. The regional context matters. Iran's tensions with the United States and Israel have intensified. The announcement is made against that backdrop. Missile technology has long been a focal point of Iran's defense posture. The emphasis on advancement in this domain reflects a strategic priority, a continued investment in systems that can alter calculations in the region. There is no ambiguity in the message that Tehran intends to send. The Fattah-2 is described as advanced, it is described as hypersonic, it is described as upgraded, and it is described as deployed. Each of those descriptors contributes to the overall signal. Enhanced capabilities suggest improved performance. High speed suggests reduced response time for adversaries, and deployment suggests immediate relevance. In moments like this, words matter. Because words precede action and announcements shape perception. One short line captures the weight of it. When technology moves faster than fear, the balance shifts. That is not a technical assessment. It is a reflection of how capability can alter atmosphere. Iran's claim, if verified, introduces a new variable into an already complex equation. Missile defense systems are designed with certain parameters in mind. A hypersonic system, by definition, presses against those parameters. The Fattah-2, as described, represents a continuation of Iran's trajectory in missile development, a trajectory that has been visible for years. But tonight, the focus is narrower, specific, concrete. A named system, a declared deployment, an upgraded successor to a previously introduced missile, and all of it unfolding within a landscape of ongoing hostilities. There is no mention of speculation, no predictions attached to the announcement. Only the claim itself, the deployment of the Fattah-2, an advanced hypersonic missile, an upgraded successor. If verified, the first operational use of its kind from Iran. That is the development, that is the context, and that is where this moment begins. The announcement from Tehran does not exist in a vacuum. It arrives at a time when regional hostilities are not theoretical. They are active, they are unfolding. And within that climate, Iran has stated that it has deployed the Fattah-2 hypersonic missile. The phrasing used is deliberate. An advanced system, an upgraded successor, operationally deployed. Each word serves a purpose. The Fattah-2 is described as an evolution of the original Fattah ballistic missile. That original version marked a step in Iran's missile development program. Now the Fattah-2 is presented as a refinement, an enhancement, a system with expanded capability. Iran has emphasized the hypersonic nature of this missile. Hypersonic speed refers to velocities significantly higher than traditional supersonic systems. Speed at that level reduces reaction time. It compresses decision windows. It challenges defensive planning. In the context of missile defense, speed alters calculations. Traditional systems rely on tracking, predicting trajectory, and intercepting within defined parameters. A hypersonic system, by definition, operates at velocities that complicate that sequence. Iran's description highlights enhanced capabilities. It underscores high speed. It frames the Fattah-2 as technologically advanced. And it situates this development squarely within the current escalation involving the United States and Israel. If the deployment is verified, this would represent the first operational use of the Fattah-2. That distinction matters. Testing is one thing, deployment signals readiness. It signals integration into active military posture. The region, already tense, now absorbs this claim. The announcement itself underscores Tehran's strategic emphasis on missile advancement. Missile technology has long been central to Iran's defense strategy. The introduction of an upgraded hypersonic missile aligns with that trajectory. There is no suggestion in the announcement that this is experimental. The language suggests capability, function, use, and that, in a conflict environment, carries weight. The Fattah-2 is not presented as an isolated development. It is framed as a continuation, a successor to the original Fattah ballistic missile, an upgraded model, a step forward in an existing program. The escalation between Iran, the United States, and Israel forms the backdrop. The announcement is layered over ongoing hostilities, and it serves as a reminder that technological advancement continues even amid confrontation. Iran's emphasis on enhanced capabilities suggests improvements over the earlier Fattah system. While the specifics of those enhancements are not detailed in the summary, the description clearly signals advancement. High speed is central. The term hypersonic is central. And the implication is that such speed could challenge traditional missile defense systems. Defense systems are built around detection and interception timelines. A faster system compresses those timelines. It complicates interception strategies. It tests existing frameworks. If verified, the operational deployment of the Fattah-2 would mark a notable moment in Iran's military posture. It would signify not only development, but readiness. The readiness to integrate advanced missile technology into an active conflict environment. The context is essential. This claim comes amid escalating conflict. The involvement of the United States and Israel adds further dimension. The regional landscape is already strained, and now into that strain comes the announcement of an upgraded hypersonic missile. There is a certain clarity in how Tehran has framed this. It is about advancement, it is about capability, it is about deployment, and it is about strategic emphasis. The phrase strategic emphasis speaks volumes. It suggests sustained focus, continued investment, long-term planning. Missile technology is not incidental to Iran's defense planning. It is central. The Fattah-2 is described as advanced. The word carries technical and symbolic meaning. Advanced implies improvement. Improvement implies progress. And progress, in the context of military technology, shifts perception. If this deployment is verified, it becomes more than a technical milestone. It becomes a statement, a signal that Iran's missile development continues to evolve even amid confrontation. The speed factor cannot be overstated in the context provided. Hypersonic velocity is highlighted as a defining feature. That velocity could challenge traditional missile defense systems. Challenge. That word matters because defense systems are built to intercept, to respond, to neutralize. A system that complicates interception changes the dynamic. The original Fattah ballistic missile laid a foundation. The Fattah-2 is presented as the next layer, an upgraded successor, a continuation of that trajectory. And if this is indeed the first operational deployment, it marks a shift from demonstration to implementation. In moments like this, technology intersects with geopolitics, not abstractly, but concretely. Through a named system, a claimed deployment, and active conflict, there is a quiet intensity in such announcements. They are brief, they are technical, but they carry implications that ripple outward. One line captures the human dimension beneath the machinery. Sometimes the quietest announcements carry the heaviest weight. The Fattah-2, as described, is not simply a new label. It is framed as an advancement, an enhancement, a refinement of existing missile capability. And the timing, amid escalating hostilities, underscores its relevance. Iran's strategic emphasis on missile advancement has been consistent. The introduction of the Fattah-2 fits squarely within that emphasis. It signals that development continues, that technology progresses, that capability evolves, and if verified, the operational deployment would represent a concrete step in that evolution. There are no additional claims detailed in the summary, no external projections, no predictions, only the statement of deployment, the description of enhancement, the emphasis on hypersonic speed, and the acknowledgement that such speed could challenge traditional missile defense systems. The regional context frames everything: escalating conflict, heightened tension, strategic positioning, and now an upgraded hypersonic missile introduced into that environment. This is where the claim stands: an advanced successor, a hypersonic designation, an operational deployment if verified, and a continued emphasis by Tehran on advancing missile technology amid ongoing hostilities. That is the continuation of this development. That is the depth beneath the headline. The announcement from Tehran now settles into the broader reality of an already escalating conflict. Iran has claimed the deployment of its advanced Fattah-2 hypersonic missile. It has described this system as an upgraded successor to the original Fattah ballistic missile. And it has placed that declaration squarely in the context of intensifying tensions involving the United States and Israel. If verified, this marks the first operational deployment of the Fattah-2. That detail is central, because operational deployment is not theoretical. It suggests readiness. It suggests positioning. It suggests that the system is no longer confined to development or testing phases. The Fattah-2 is presented as enhanced, an improved version of what came before, an evolution rather than a departure. The original Fattah ballistic missile established the foundation. Now the Fattah-2 is framed as the next step forward. Iran's emphasis on the hypersonic nature of the missile remains at the forefront of the claim. Hypersonic speed is associated with extremely high velocity, velocity that can complicate the calculations of traditional missile defense systems. Defense systems rely on time, on detection, on tracking, on interception windows. A faster system compresses those windows, and the summary makes clear that the Fattah-2's high speed could challenge those traditional defenses. That phrasing, or could challenge, is deliberate. It does not claim invulnerability. It does not make projections. It simply highlights the potential difficulty posed by speed. And speed, in this context, is the defining feature. The announcement underscores Tehran's strategic emphasis on advancing missile technology. That emphasis is not described as new. It is described as ongoing, part of a broader trajectory, a sustained focus within Iran's military planning. The regional hostilities form the backdrop: escalating conflict, active tensions, an atmosphere already charged. And within that atmosphere, the claim of deployment emerges. The timing aligns with heightened friction involving the United States and Israel. The Fattah-2, as described, is not isolated from that friction. It is introduced into it, presented as an operational capability amid that environment. If verified, this deployment would represent a milestone, the first operational use of this upgraded hypersonic missile. And that milestone would sit within a moment of intensified confrontation. There is a difference between development and deployment. Development signals ambition, deployment signals readiness, and readiness in an escalating conflict carries strategic weight. Iran's framing of the Fattah-2 as an upgraded successor emphasizes continuity. This is not a departure from its missile program. It is a progression within it, an enhancement built on an existing system. The language used is measured but firm, advanced, upgraded, hypersonic, operationally deployed. Each term reinforces capability. Each term reinforces progress. The claim does not extend beyond those descriptions. There are no additional specifications provided in the summary, no further operational details, only the assertion of deployment, only the emphasis on enhanced capabilities and high speed. The broader significance lies in what this announcement represents. It underscores that missile technology remains central to Tehran's strategy. It highlights continued advancement amid ongoing hostilities, and it signals that development efforts are not paused by conflict. They are integrated into it. In moments like this, announcements do more than inform. They mark phases, they delineate progression, they signal shifts in posture, and even without additional details, the declaration itself carries weight. There's a human dimension beneath the technical language, a quiet recognition that technology and tension often move in parallel. One short line captures that sense. In times of conflict, even a single announcement can redraw the horizon. That line does not add information, it reflects the atmosphere. The Fattah-2's introduction into operational deployment, if verified, represents a new layer in the ongoing escalation. It does not replace previous systems. It builds upon them, it advances them, and it integrates them into the present moment. The emphasis on hypersonic capability highlights the role of speed in modern military planning. Speed alters engagement dynamics. It compresses timelines. It challenges defensive assumptions. The summary makes clear that traditional missile defense systems could be challenged by such velocity. That possibility is central to the announcement's significance. Iran's strategic emphasis on missile advancement is underscored by this deployment claim. It reflects continuity, a sustained trajectory of development, and an integration of upgraded systems into active posture. The conflict involving the United States and Israel remains the contextual frame. The Fattah-2 is introduced into that frame, not as speculation, not as projection, but as a declared operational system. If verification confirms this deployment, it will stand as the first operational use of the Fattah-2. That fact alone distinguishes this moment from prior announcements. Development is one stage. Operational deployment is another. And within an escalating regional conflict, that distinction matters. There are no additional claims beyond what has been stated, no reinterpretation, no expansion, only the core elements: an advanced hypersonic missile, an upgraded successor to the original Fattah ballistic missile, a claimed operational deployment amid escalating tensions, and a continued strategic emphasis on advancing missile technology. That is where this development stands tonight. Clear in its wording, specific in its claim, embedded in an already tense regional landscape. The Fattah-2 now occupies a defined place within that landscape, and with that, the outline of this development is complete.